This is the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show. Dr. Meleeka has a background as a clinical psychologist, actress, director, model, and human rights activist. The Dr. Meleeka Clary Show will help move you towards bettering the quality of your life with positive psychology. So please welcome your host, Dr. Meleeka Clary.
Welcome to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Welcome, my friends. Welcome. It's such a pleasure that I get an opportunity to do this show every week and Thursday. So I have to thank God for that because I'm able to do this. So I'm hoping everybody had a wonderful week and today everything is okay. So today we do have amazing guests. And I have to always say this, today is a different day. When I bring people on as guests, they always have some type of information and they always have some type of challenges or testimonies they want to share to my friends. And I just love the fact that they welcome themselves to do that because not everyone is so comfortable sharing stories. So I give them applause because I'm glad that they're sharing. And you know, my little peppy is sharing is caring. So I really like that they want to share their testimonies and stories. And it's we're trying to do something here. We're trying to let you understand that it doesn't matter what kind of title or accolade that you have, you're still a human being at the end of the day. And that is what's important. And me to let you know that because this segment is about mental health awareness every day. And I say that every day because we all have challenges every day. We go through things every day. Just like me, when I woke up this morning, you never know what I was feeling. I felt really blessed and I felt good that he got me up this morning. So I'm very happy with that. But still, sometimes we have these different challenges and we never know what to expect when you get up. So today, I'm so glad that that was a peaceful getting up and whatever I got to deal with, I just deal with. And I hope that's with you as well. But when I bring guests on, they go through things too. So they're trying to share you some, just some things that may be good or work for them and informative information as well that you might need in your life. And with that being said, today I have a special guest, like I said. His name is attorney Josh Edlow. And I say the attorney because, he's an attorney, but his name is Josh Edlow. But I had to put emphasis on that a little bit because he do so much more than just that. He has so he wear many hats and he would explain that. But he is also a producer and he also has his own podcast as well. He actually interviewed me on his show and you'll probably see that around. There's some type of YouTube or I don't know, it's a, was it YouTube? I think it's a link from TikTok. It's going around, and that's him. So he had a pleasure. I had a pleasure in interviewing with him, and it was just I was just happy about it. I'm glad that he interviewed me. But I've learned so much from what he does, and so I asked him to be on my show because I think he'll be an asset. And I want to share the things that he do. So I had to bring him on. So I'm so glad that he, decided to be a guest on my show. But he's a trial lawyer as well. So there's things that, I'm going to ask him about some information that could be sharing for you, things that you might even need to know. And I know he has a lot of experience in injury, personal injuries and stuff like that. And I want you to learn this. I want you to be able to contact people that share the information with you because these are things that some average people, they might not know. And you want to know some of these things. It might can help you or help somebody else. Because like I said, my segments in the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show, it's all about sharing and caring. We talk about entertainment, we talk about judicial deception, but we also talk about judicial, even information that could help you. And we talk about a lot of things, which is more than just mental health. But that is very important because you, without staying healthy in your mind, you can't stay healthy physically. And I need people to understand you have to take care of yourself. That's why this show is so important because you have to take care of yourself and you have mentally and physically. And that's why I do this. And I really like to make sure that everyone understands that, because it takes a lot to just go up here and tell people about your story, even though sometimes you want to be private. But today we need to start talking. We need not to keep things inside. So I'm trying to get you to open up. I know we're probably learned or taught that don't share your business, but it's important to share, because if you don't share, there's things that's going to ball just explode eventually, and that's not good. And that's why we welcome all these different disorders, and we want to start doing something about that. And that's only how we can, is start sharing and caring and start talking, communicating with each other. You have to start talking. And I'm going to try to do my best to get you to do just that on the Dr. Meleeka Clary show. And you know what? I don't mind, because I care about you. So I'm so glad that you tuned in today. And I really want you to have get some information. So get your pen, your paper. If you record button, record it. Anything that you need to do to make sure that you stay tuned for this segment that's about to happen, because I know that you are going to be very pleased when you hear the information, because I have to tell you, everybody has a story, and it's always something that I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. I'm always surprised, because sometimes we always think it's always just me going through this. Is it just me? But no, it's not just you. And I felt that way too until I started interviewing people and speaking to people. We all have our challenges and struggles. And I'm just like, wow, how did you get out of that? How did you deal with that? All these questions, and they answer them. And it's like, wow, it got me thinking, like, wow, I have to think twice on my situation. So it's really to let you know that we're all together. And I want you to remember that you are not alone. You are not alone. But so with that, I'm going to go on a brief commercial, and we will be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Clary show on the Bold and Brave TV network, where we come in live, my friends, live. Stay tuned.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery, or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back, my friends, to the Dr. Meleeka Clary show, where we're on Bold and Brave TV live. I told you we're going to be back. All right, so we are back, and right now I am going to introduce attorney Josh Edlow. Welcome, 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 my friend. Welcome.
Hello,
How
thanks.
are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you for being my guest. You're looking great. You're looking great.
Oh,
We
thanks.
talked on you. It's well, I have to say it's a different role today, right?
Right. I'm on the hot
You
seat.
in the
I'm on
hot
the hot
seat.
seat. Yeah.
You are in the hot seat today. So I
Yeah.
am like, yes, I'm gonna fire up.
I'm ready.
Well, you know what? I have to say it's a pleasure, honestly. And as you know, I read so much about you, but not just that. I know you do so many things. You wear so many hats. You're an attorney, but you're also, you're a producer. You also have your own podcast. And I always know that, with the research and what I know of you, I always have to go to these questions because it's so important. What I know of you, maybe not what you think of you. So I have to ask you a question. What do you identify yourself as? Because, and who do you identify yourself as? Because like I said, that I know all the accolades and the titles, but who do you identify yourself as?
I have a lot of identities. I think my number ones are I'm Christian. I'm a father. Um, I'm an attorney in that order, and I'm a podcaster. I'm at times a pro wrestler. I
Wow.
do all sorts of different things. So yeah, it's but those are the main ones, and I take all of those roles very seriously.
How serious do you take those roles? I mean, and the reason I say that because we have people that walk around and they are somebody else, not
Mhm.
who they want to be or who they identify themselves as. I mean, if I say, "Oh, well, Attorney Josh Edlow," is that who you define yourself only? And who do you put you did say that you have different levels. So if you can explain to me those type of levels, be only because people are confused about who they are. And I like to understand and the people to understand that you know exactly who you are.
Yeah, I take all of my roles very seriously, but like I said, in that order. So I have those priorities, and the top two, as in my faith, and then also as a father, I take the most serious. When I've been trusted with, I have four kids, and ages 16 to 10. Probably, I've said this before. This is my favorite time as a father because my kids have opinions. They're not always great opinions, but they have them, and watching
I
them
know
grow
about
into the
that.
yeah, and watching them grow into the person that they're going to become is just such a joy. But I spend a lot of time with them, and then as an attorney, I mean, I take that role very seriously because my clients rely on me so much, and I help them in such different in times when they can't help themselves. So.
Wow. That's interesting you say that because there's people that do say that I am a father or a parent first.
Mhm.
And it's interesting, and I have to say that's great. As people, when we have children, they don't ask to be here, right?
Yeah, right.
We want them here. And I
Yeah.
and I don't think people understand that we want children. The children don't ask to be here. And so identifying yourself as a father first is really noble because
Yeah.
some people don't. And I
Yeah.
have to say that.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of funny. I've run into the last couple of years, especially. I'm pretty active on my social media, and my kids are all over it. And I'm always trying to do something with them. If I'm going out to dinner, I grab one. If I'm going to the office, sometimes they're here. Just I try to include them in every aspect of my life. And sometimes people will say stuff like, "Wow, you're doing such a great job. You're such a model example." And I just feel like I'm doing exactly what we are all supposed to do. It kind of makes me feel like I go, okay, well that's kind of a comment on fatherhood. If I'm doing what I don't think I'm doing anything extraordinary. I'm just there. Um, Whereas it must be a comment on fatherhood if just being there and doing things with your kids is considered to be extraordinary. And I hope that other fathers kind of think about that and try to make them a priority in their lives because you could have, I mean, those kids, I've noticed from the very beginning, they want to have the absolute best relationship with you that they can. And it's really up to you. If you're having a bad day or you're mad about something else and you
Mhm.
take it out on them, one day that relationship it could be gone. And so I take that really seriously.
And you said something that was really interesting because not just that you having a bad day and you take it out, you also helping to create a behavior
Yeah.
change. See, that's
Mhm.
another thing that could repeat a cycle. So they
Yeah.
may not be mad at you, they may just wave it, but they also will repeat it with their children, or they'll repeat it with someone else because that's the way the parent has showed them to do, to learn behavior as well.
Totally, totally, and
And mhm.
that's not to say that I'm perfect. I have bad moments just like everybody. There are times when I
You
get
do.
frustrated with my kids, and
That's right.
I had a conversation with my son. He A couple of years ago, we had a particularly bad, argument, and I remember pulling him in and going like, "Hey, listen, kid." He's my oldest. I go, "I've never been a father of a teenager before, and you've never been a teenager before, so this is new for both of us. So I'm going to try to be patient with you if you promise to be patient with me." And I think that those types of conversations with your kids are so critical to making them feel safe to talk to you. And I have a great relationship with him. He tells me stuff that I'm like, I would have never told my father. I was like, you do know I'm your dad, right? Like there are some things you probably should keep to yourself, And so, yeah, so and it's fun just watching. The other thing I love about being a parent is each one of my kids, they just are so different, and parenting them is so
Yes.
you can't parent any one of them the same. My
Right.
oldest son, I gotta like pound it into his head and be really hard on him. My youngest daughter, if I blink at her, she cries. I mean, it's just and so you have to adjust. So
Wow. You're right. And I have to say that because you're absolutely correct about personalities. They're all different, and you have to treat them all towards their personality, their specific
yeah,
personality. Oh, thank you
100%.
for sharing that very much. So, on that note, we are going to take a brief commercial and we will be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Do not go nowhere. We are still with our amazing guests.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back, my friends, to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Where we're still with my wonderful guest, Josh Edlow, attorney Josh Edlow. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you. Thank you. Before
Thank
we
you.
left, we were still, you're welcome. Before we left, we was talking about parenting. So I'm so glad. Thank you for the highlights and what you were saying too. And I'm Christian. And I think you mentioned you're Christian. If I wasn't clear, I thought I might have heard that maybe in a pre-interview, but even so, what do you identify yourself as, if you like religious, or what's your religious belief? Because I'm Christian, and when something happens in my life, I just get on the knees and I pray. And I have to say that, but I don't know, not everybody's Christian, and not everybody was raised on those norms of, prayer or anything like that. But what do you utilize? What do you just run to when something's going not as well? And maybe something's going great.
Sure. So, to answer the first question, my religious affiliation, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which most people know as Mormons. So that's my background. But I have a pretty eclectic background. My father, who is now a member of my church, was Jewish before that and converted. My
Okay.
grandmother was Catholic. So other than my immediate family, everybody's all sorts of different things. So I think there's a lot of commonalities, regardless of whether you're Christian, Mormon, even Jewish, Muslim.
Hmm.
And I think what I rely on, I think your other question was, is what do I rely on when things get hard? Is that kind of
Yes.
what you're
Even
looking
if
for?
they're, yeah, I say challenging, like hard,
Yeah.
that something that you're just like the human flesh is having a difficult time to deal with.
Yeah. So here's what I would say about that. And we all are going to run into tough times. There's no question. Whether you believe you're religious, whether you have a religious belief or not, hard times are going to come. And I think what I rely on, I count my blessings where I can find them, and I ask what I'm supposed to learn from these things. I've learned over the course. I'm 42 years old now, so I'm officially middle aged, and I can.
Oh, I gotta stop you there. Stop it. Stop it. Stop
Look,
it.
I've looked at the actuary tables. Men live to be 84 on average, so I am officially middle aged, and I'm okay with it. It doesn't mean that my life is over. It just, but
No.
here's what I would say about that is that in the course of that 42 years, I've had many times where things have gotten challenging, but but the sun always rises, and when I look back, I realize those things had to happen exactly the way they had to happen to put me in the beautiful position that I'm in today. And that's really hard to remember when you're in the middle of it. And
Yes.
it's still a lesson I'm trying to learn. My candidly, my family, my kids and I were going through we've been going through a really rough time for a while now. And but the thing is the other thing I would say is I don't let those hard things stop me from doing the things I need to do. So in the last 5 years, I've had probably, and I'm not exaggerating, some of the worst moments of my life, and at the exact same time, the best moments of my life. And if I would have let those bad things stop me from getting done the things I needed to get done, stop me from pursuing my goals, stop me from doing the things I wanted to do for my kids, they would have just been bad times.
Yes.
and
Yes.
and that's not good, and you don't grow. So
There you go. You're right about that. If you let those bad times just take so much space in your mind, you don't grow. You're
yeah,
just there.
yeah.
So thank you for sharing. Have you ever had a challenge that you was really just, it was tough, a challenge that you remember? We all have experiences. Have you ever had a challenge in your life that was just really difficult to deal with?
Oh, yeah, I mean, how much time we got? I I have I'll share a story quickly. I'll try to be quick with this one. I started law school. I was working full time, and I was going to law school at night. So it was a long week, and I was living about 45 minutes away from everything. I had a good job. Was owned a home. I had one kid, another one on the way at the time. And About a month into law school, I lost my job. And it was in 2008, which was the middle of the housing crisis. I owned a home, so I was
Yes.
upside down. and
Mhm.
money was tight. Um, and I essentially lost everything. And I remember the day we moved, I had to have a yard sale to sell things to get enough money for a U-Haul to pay to move out. And my eventual destination would be a duplex in the middle of one of the roughest areas of Sacramento, where I was going to law school. And I remember the day I left, um, being alone in the empty house and being like, I don't understand why this is going on. I go to church. I pay tithing, right? I do all the things I'm supposed to do. I have faith.
Yes.
What did I do? And I remember thinking to myself, just trust the process. Um, I could have quit law school. I didn't. I kept going. I couldn't find a job for a while. I ended up finding a job at the firm that I am now a partner at.
Yeah.
And I became a partner in 2021. And when I did, I loaded my kids up in my car, and I drove away from my 5,000 square foot house back to my 1,700 square foot house about 45 minutes away. And I sat there in front of it, and I told my kids, I said, "Don't you ever quit."
There you go.
And I said, it doesn't. I said, "You
I
keep
get it.
moving. You
Keep
keep
moving.
moving,
That's
because
right.
if you don't keep moving, you're just stuck in the space." And sometimes I remember reading in my journal that day. I wrote, "I feel like I'm alone in the Arctic tundra, and all I want to do is lay down and die." And I said,
Mhm.
"Do not lay down and die. You keep moving forward. You keep walking, because if you do, you will obtain anything you want." And I've been so blessed. I've been so blessed by God, the universe, whatever you want to say, my own ingenuity, to come out of that in such a better place. And if I hadn't lost that house, I never would have ended up where I'm at.
You know
So,
what? Wow. And
yeah,
I know you felt that. I hear you, and I'm so glad you shared that testimony and experience, because I can relate to you. And I'm out of words. Thank you, Josh, for sharing that. Honestly,
yeah,
thank
mhm,
you, because
yeah,
that is a big thing. Don't give up. Don't
yeah,
give up. And on
yeah.
that, going to take a brief commercial, and we will be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. And we are still with Josh Edlow. Do not go nowhere. Don't go nowhere.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery, or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show, where we're on Bold and Brave TV Network. We're coming live. I am still with my great guest, attorney Josh Edlow. Welcome back, Josh. Welcome back.
Hello. Hello
All
again. Thank
right.
you.
Yes, we are back.
Yeah.
Well, before we went off air, we were still sharing stories, and thank you for your challenges and thank you for sharing your testimony. Now, I have a question here. With all of the things that you do, you have to have some type of self care because people, I always wonder, what do you do for you? What do you do to take care of you? Because I know if I didn't take care of myself, I'm not going to be good for anyone. And I know that for a fact. So you have to take care of your mind and you have to take care of your body. What are some really great things that you do that does just that and you feel 100%?
Oh, I think that the number one thing I do is I go to the gym. I go to the gym 6 days a week, and there is a huge connection between physical and mental health. I have about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, depending on my schedule. To That's just for me, where I put on my headphones and listen to angry music and just live and just think about the things that I need to think about and push some weight and do some cardio. And it really sets my mind up for the rest of the day.
Oh, okay. So you get to pump yourself up with the music, huh?
I do, and it depends. Some days, hey, some days it's angry rock. Some days it's Whitney Houston. I'm an '80s fan. I'll listen to Madonna like a prayer and be dancing
Oh,
around
I
the
love
gym
that song.
like no problem. Yeah, yeah. So
Oh my goodness.
yeah, that's
That's
that's my jam.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, that is amazing. Now, what about anything that you eat? Like, is it some things? Because we have to take care of ourselves physically as well. So besides we're working out, is it? Well, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say, hey, you got to eat healthy. Now, if you
No,
go ahead and do fried chicken all the time, I'm with you.
yeah.
But
No,
it
it's
makes
it's
you feel
actually
great.
it's actually funny because we were just my daughter recently. I had grabbed some. My oldest daughter is kind of a baker, and my son actually just made chocolate chip cookies, and I love cookie dough and all that stuff. And
Ooh.
but I was reaching for something, and my daughter's like, "Dad, are you even watching your weight anymore?" And I was like, "I think it's obvious that I'm not." So no, but I usually, I try to make sure the number one thing I do is I make sure I get enough protein, drink enough water. And then I have kind of a cheat meal every Sunday. I tell my kids the rule is we're cooking. It's either breakfast or brunch, and I say, okay, we're cooking, and whoever helps me cook doesn't have to help with the dishes. And so we've developed a deal where we make this big elaborate meal, and I post little stuff on my story on Instagram, so the kids think they're little, Instagram, YouTube stars, and then we have this big feast, and we have a great time. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome. Well, yes, I like chocolate chip cookies too.
Oh yeah, yeah. That sugar is such a problem for me. I love everything candy and cakes, and especially going to the movies.
Oh my goodness, we can hang.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I'm one of those.
yeah,
I'm like, oh, I like that. Let me get that.
yeah, yeah. No,
I
no kidding.
do.
Popcorn and candy.
I
Mm,
Oh yes, yes. Of course, I'm a filmer too, so I encourage film. I
yeah,
encourage going to the movies. Yes, I'm
yeah.
always at the sessions,
Definitely,
so I have to
definitely.
share that. So I'm definitely on board with that. Well, with also just knowing that, I'm so glad you take care of yourself and your mental and your physical, and that's great. Let me ask you now. I know you have a podcast, but I also know that you're a trial lawyer, correct? Is it
That's right.
injury?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yes. How challenging is that? Because in this world, like I said, you wear so many hats. Mentally, do you take anything that doesn't go your way or what you wanted to go for your client home? How do you deal with that?
I would say that personal injury law is probably the hardest to deal with as far as litigation goes, because you're going in, there's a bias against people. Insurance companies have spent a lot of time convincing juries that people who bring lawsuits for personal injury are just out to think they hit the lottery, and that's just not true. I've prosecuted cases for $2,500 and $10 million. I don't have a single client that wouldn't give every dollar back to not be in the incident that brought them to my office. So I don't think that anybody that I've ever represented is faking, and if I did, I'd fire them immediately. So it is difficult, and yeah, it's hard. I've had many nights where I've woken up in the middle of the night thinking about a case, because you've got this person. I can think of a guy who fell off a tank trailer and was rendered a quadriplegic, and he was relying on us to make sure that he could live, and his family was going to be okay for the rest of his life. And incredibly complicated case. And yeah, you feel a level of responsibility. You take an oath to zealously advocate for your client when you become an attorney, and I take that oath seriously. And so I work as hard as I can. It doesn't, sometimes the facts don't go your way, but that doesn't mean, I've never had a case that I haven't come out and thought I did an A+ job with what I had. So
Wow. And I know that you probably have dealt with people that lost another person in an
yeah,
injury.
wrongful death claims. My first trial was a wrongful death case against a
Mhm.
public entity. A 75-year-old woman, father of five adult, or I'm sorry, mother of five adult children, was walking in a crosswalk in a bad intersection
Mhm.
and got hit and killed. And I was a second-year attorney when I was trying that case.
Wow.
So it was I was with the managing partner here, Roger Dreyer, who is I'm not joking when I say he's the best attorney I've ever seen in my life. And he pulled me into that one, and we worked that case, and we brought it up against the city of Atwater, and we ended up winning. And it was a big victory for the family, and the traffic signals were changed as a result. So brought some good to the city as well.
Wow. Yeah, whoa. That is yeah, you changed the game here.
Yeah,
That's really, and but you know what's so interesting, man. I'm being a paralegal and I know what you go through. And you know what? Before I even get into that, because I'm gonna ask this question because I really gotta know. I am going to take a brief commercial. We are going to be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Do not go nowhere because we are still with the attorney Josh Edlow. Don't go nowhere, friends. Don't go nowhere.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. We discover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Welcome back, my friends. Thank you. We are still with attorney Josh Edlow. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Hello, I'm back. All right.
I know. Gotta have a little bit of fun. We gotta have a little bit of
Yeah,
fun.
exactly.
Before we went, we was talking about injuries and how that was really dealt with clients. But here's my thing: as a paralegal, and I've worked with so many lawyers, and I went to law school for a year, but I am a doctor of clinical
Right.
psychology. But
Uh-huh.
so I go back, we'll see. But paralegal, I still I'm still in the trenches of stuff, and I still work with different lawyers. And here's my question: what happens when you get into a moment you can't save these people? They're your clients, but is there any outreach like a course or some therapy that you actually seek? Because you really can't save everybody, but it must bother you to a degree, not just that you take it home, but where do you release it at mentally?
Yeah, there's a level of, I guess, a level of compartmentalization that comes from this. You have to accept that you're right. You can't save everybody. You're not always going to get the best result. You have to be good, and quite frankly, not all of your clients are going to be grateful for what you've done. And so there just has to be a level of you accepting that you did everything you could, and I've come at peace with that. I used to, a couple of years in, 3 years in, really struggle with some of these things, and I just know that I have a finite amount of time, and so because of that, I want to put that time in the place where I think I can do the most good. So
I'm glad that you said that because, we all think that everybody, when they see an attorney or something, you're like, oh, they can answer everything. But they're just trying to help you as much as they can. And
yeah,
if you could save the whole world, we would. I mean, like being a psychologist, if I could save the whole world, I would. But there is times that I'm listening to someone's situation. It's like, wow, I wish I could just blink and let it be over for you. But
yeah,
it,
I've had a number of times where I've told a client, I've said, listen, if I could make $1 million fall from the sky for you, I would. But the thing is that we're stuck with the facts we have. And I think that's what's important for clients to understand is there's a difference between what is true and what we can prove. And
oh yeah,
so we definitely we have a standard. And unfortunately, what plaintiffs run into is they often feel like they're the ones on trial, and they are, because it's about their injuries. Very often, these rear end collisions that you deal with, there's not a question of who caused the collision. It's a question of whether your injuries are as bad as you're saying they are. And and there's a number of times where it's not uncommon that someone had pre-existing conditions that were exacerbated as a result of the collision, and we have to deal with that. And the defense will pay a doctor to come in, and I mean, some of these doctors, they could put enough money on the table, they'll say that leg would have come off anyway. I mean, so you just have to roll with the punches and accept the fate. There's a level of this that is a big risk. It's a game of chess, and we played as well as we could, and I like to think I play it really well. So
you you
yeah,
sound like you do.
yeah,
And you know what? You said some points, but I know we're gonna bring you back on this show because there's so many questions I have when you said that, about incidents of like the injury and what it's related to, and proving that because some people just don't understand. There's things that happen, and you really do got to prove a case. It's not just because this happened and that's what it is. And for me to be on the legal side of that, I have seen cases that's like that, and they just don't get it. But we're gonna explain to
yeah.
you why you should get it.
Yeah, yeah. If, in fact, if you have people here who've been hit by a car, there's a couple of things I want to say right out the gate. The number one thing is I don't care if you don't think it's that bad on the day of the collision. Go to the doctor. If it hurts, go to the doctor. Don't don't
Yes,
don't wait, because all you're doing, if you
right.
wait, all you're doing is giving a little gap that a defense attorney or an adjuster can say, "Ugh, well, if it was that bad, they would have gone to the doctor." And unfortunately,
Right.
juries, in my estimation, if you don't care about it enough to go to the doctor, the jury doesn't care enough to compensate you for it. So you
Right.
definitely have to go. And the other thing is also, is I would tell people, get an attorney right away. I have so many people who come in and
Right.
say, I don't want to be that person. But the thing is, I liken it to a game of chess. We talked about chess earlier. If you walked into a park and you sat down with somebody who plays chess 20 times a day, 5 days a week, and you've never played, you're going to lose that game every time.
That's
And
right.
those adjusters that you're dealing with, they talk to 20 people just like you every single
Mhm.
day and have for 10 years. They know all the tricks, they know all the stuff. Like recorded statements. You're not required to give a recorded statement. You're not required to give them anything. You're not required to give them their social security
Right.
number, your driver's license number, none of that, but they make you feel like you do. And
It's
so,
intimidation.
right, beauty of having an attorney is they don't get to talk to you. They got to talk to me and they don't like that. So,
Ooh.
yeah.
And you heard it here on the Dr. Meleeka Clary show.
Hmm.
Okay. You hear
Yeah.
attorney Josh Edlow telling you, you got some rights there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know your rights. And I deal with this all day, every day, and have for 11 years. So I know what I'm doing, and I know how to properly get you compensated. And then I can also, just walk you through the process. It's scary. You've never been in one before. I've had clients come in and they go, look, I've been in 2 car accidents. Okay. So I know what it's like. You're in shock
Mm,
for a day. You don't know what you're doing. You're
right.
scared. People are calling you all over the place. You don't have a car anymore. I mean, all of these different things. And we can help you through that process and take all the legal part off so you can just focus on just getting better.
There you go. That is so, thank you for sharing that because that is
Mhm.
so important. How do they find you? I mean, how do they find you? And I know you have a podcast, but how do they find you? Even a podcast too. You can explain that too.
Well, yeah. So first, if you want to find me as far as being an attorney, I'm in
Hmm.
California in Sacramento. The firm is called Dreyer, Babich, Bucola, Wood, and Campora. I'd say that 3 times fast. It's www.dbbwc.com. You can find me as well as all of my partners and the associates here. You can see what we do. You can look me up on Google. You'll find me that way. Just look up Josh Edlow. I'm all over the place. All my attorney stuff is there. As far as the podcast goes, it's called the Edlow Podcast. It's not a law podcast. It's just a human interest podcast. And I'm the human and I'm interested. So I have all sorts of different people on. And you can find it on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much everywhere.
Oh, okay. That is great. You know what? We're going to come right back and we're going to find some more information just to make sure you get all that out there. But we are
Right.
going to take a brief commercial. We'll be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Do not go nowhere. We're still with attorney Josh Edlow. Don't go nowhere.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. We discover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. We are still with attorney Josh Edlow. Welcome back.
Hello.
And before we left, we was just giving out the information where to find you. I do want to ask you, what made you have your started your podcast? Because you're a Hillman and you're a person, Josh, and it's Edlow and Shirk. So, like
Yeah,
you said, I tried to do it like you said. What made you do
sure.
that? Develop that?
Um, Actually, it was because I found it's interesting. I felt like I didn't necessarily fit in a box. So, like, I'm Mormon, but I'm also an attorney. I like hard rock music. I did pro wrestling. Like, I've done all these different things, and I had like kind of compartmentalized friends. So I have friends that are like super conservative, super liberal. I have trans friends. I have Mormons friends. I have, Trump supporting friends, and then I have like staunch, Joe Biden. Not very many Joe Biden friends, but I have like I have a lot of different, friends out there. And so I thought, this would be a good way to get people who I know who otherwise wouldn't talk to each other together,
Yeah.
and maybe kind of learn that everybody is just a human trying to have a very real human experience. And so I've had people who are transgender on. I've had a gay person on who is actually in a heterosexual marriage. I've had
Wow.
I've had people who are like Mormon scholars on. I've had you on. I've had a therapist on to deal with specifically personality disorders and narcissism. I've had
Mm-hmm.
you can go through. I've done 45 of them. I've had pro wrestlers come on. WWE Hall of Famers have
Wow.
been on. So yeah, it's been a cool experience.
I love it. You bringing people together. It doesn't
Trying,
matter what accolades you hold, what kind of person you are. You're a person, a human being. And you're
yeah,
right, you're making connections, like bringing people together, just like, hey, state your case, share your stories. And there's something that I'm doing on this show. I love it. Really, you're doing amazing jobs. At least you're doing something. And I have to say that to people. This is why we do it. We want to do something. Doing nothing doesn't work in our book. Doing
right,
something helps. I want to go
yes.
back to when people are looking for you. And I know you say that you're an attorney out in California. Now, how about if they're in Atlanta or if they're in Boston and they have, like, is it referrals or anything that you can
Yeah,
help
so
with?
I have prosecuted cases out of state. There's a
Okay.
way to do that, but the case has to be big enough to support the
Okay.
cost of having an out of state attorney. If I can't help you out of state, I do have a good referral network in most states. And so you're welcome to call me even if you're outside of California. We do have some attorneys here as well that have bars in different states as well. So
Oh,
that's a
wonderful.
possibility. So feel free to give me a call. I'm happy to talk to anybody. It doesn't cost anything to speak with me initially. So just give us a
Great.
call and we'll work it out.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Attorney Josh Edlow, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And we will be bringing Attorney Josh Edlow back because you heard it here. He's coming back. So make
Definitely.
sure of that. So
Definitely.
before we go, yes, thank you again. I appreciate you. And so I'm going to close it up with just giving my information to look for me. drmaleekaclary.com is my website, and I'm all over Google. The social injures, the little social sites are all on my website. You just touch a button and you will be able to find me. I'm all over, so you have no excuse. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those social medias, you can find me. But the website is more effective. So if you just go to drmaleekaclary.com. And I have to close it out. Thank you, my friends, for tuning in with the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show. But if no one said it to you today, I'm going to say it. I love you, and I hope I love your mind, and I love your spirit. So keep tuning in so we can try to change something in this world. Nobody said it to you today. I love you, and take care, and have a wonderful day and the rest of the weekend or week to come. Enjoy. Bye bye.
You've been watching the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show. Tune in next week as Dr. Meleeka will help you shift towards a better life. But this show doesn't stop there. She'll provide helpful tips regarding surviving the entertainment industry and the judicial system with practical information. Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, here on the Bold Brave TV network.